That's Miss Billie Holiday. And this is some really heavy subject matter we're going to be dealing with. So if this is uncomfortable for you, please, you've been warned. I think it's important to have a conversation and be part of the conversation. Because in order to be part of the solution, you have to be part of being at the table and having the difficult conversation. The reality is I live here in Canada. I live in Alberta. Canada has a lot of issues with racism against the Aboriginal people. And I have seen it up close. And I've heard people say, why? Why do we have to be responsible for what people did, so many years ago? And it's like, do you not realize it was not even like 100 years? And they weren't just sold as property. These people were treated like they were nothing. They separated families. They took fathers away from their families. They took kids away from their mothers. And they had no recourse. And then when they supposedly got their freedom, then they decided, we're going to make the rules so hard and so against you that we're going to incarcerate you and keep that generational pain of having families separated. And yet people will still say, well, why should I care? Why should I be concerned? I didn't do it. So I will say my heart is broken. My first instinct was, when the news, or I say lightly the news, it was in the mainstream news that really talked about it. But when I first heard about it, it was about suicide. And of course that brings up feelings and emotions. And unfortunately I've had suicides in my life, more than one. But the reality was that I remember, and I'm sure you guys, can tell me, a few weeks ago, I remember watching Cory Booker, and he was impassionately talking about trying to pass this bill that he and Kamala Harris had brought up, and it was like this anti-lynching bill. And Rand Paul was the person who actually stopped it from going through. And even though Cory Booker was very passionate about it, he still said that Rand Paul, was a good buddy of his. And so I'm just thinking logically that, it's pretty funny that they literally had this lynching bill that did not pass, and all of a sudden you're hearing about all these lynchings. I energetically don't feel that it was done on a personal level. Not, So I thought, let's do the hard reading and let's look into the cards and see what they have to say. I hope that everybody is doing okay, that you're feeling okay, and we get through this, okay? So I'm going to do a Celtic cross. I'll leave that now. Okay. So first card up is the Nine of Wands. So here we have an embattlement. This is anxiety. This is adversity. This is things from the past. This person has persevered. They're beaten, but they're still surviving. Going across that, we have the Three of Wands. So this is really looking at the situation and unifying over the situation. And I know that sounds crazy, but this is almost like feel the fear and do it anyway. And there is going to be a new partnership that's going to be formed because of this. We have our Strength card underneath it all. when a major card shows up, it outranks and it becomes the most important card over all the other cards. And in all my 10 cards, I only have one major, and that's the Strength card. So this is telling me that this is a spiritual test. This is about looking at things from the past and writing them, and that we have the strength, we have the ability to unify and to come together. Very important. On top of this, you have the Knight of Wands. This is foolishly rushing in. I believe that there are people that were triggered by Cory Booker and by the whole lynching, the even just the mention of it. It's almost like it was a whistle blow. And I feel like this card almost, because it's somebody who's rushing in with a sword, I almost feel like we're going to find out that there's going to be a police connection, that somebody within the police helped and aided to cover up. Behind it all is the Ace of Swords. This is a time of action. This is a time of coming out with the truth. This is to inspire and to get to the truth. This is people saying, no, we're not going to put this, cover this up and just let it go like as if it's not important. This is going to be the grassroots people pushing for answers. Sorry. Okay. In the near future, there's going to be somewhat of a retreat. So this is more or less like there may be some delays. And I mean, I think that's obvious. You can't have a hanging and then 2 weeks later the police haven't investigated it enough to check and see if anybody had any cameras around, to see if anybody had any information. I believe that this is showing that there is somebody who's lying on information, and one move and it's going to come out. I believe it will come out. We're looking at the King of Pentacles. So this is almost like having this authoritative. Again, I got to go with my feelings. I'm trying to be really careful about how I say things because I do not wish to hurt anybody, start a conspiracy theory. I can only tell you what my cards are saying. I believe there's going to be a person of authority, probably within the police, certainly with the white supremacy and all that kind of stuff, but there's going to be people in power that allowed for this to happen, that knew about it, and turned the other, pretended as though they didn't see it, covered up information. This is people saying, we want to know what happened. This is justice coming out. I believe that this is a woman who's going to fight for answers. And I can't help it. It's like I just keep, because I mentioned about Cory Booker, I could see him and Kamala Harris, who I know doesn't have a great record. People, there's sort of like with Kamala, there's sort of like this two-way where people love her or they really dislike her. But I think that her and Cory Booker are going to take up the gauntlet and look for the truth. The Queen of Wands is saying that this was done. This was a response to the situation that people find themselves in. There's still some leftover losers, like let's just put it as it is, that feel entitled. And I don't get the feeling like Trump or really anybody high in his administration were involved specifically, But I think that like Steve and Miller and all those kind of guys certainly put out, you know, the little whistles of, hey, look over here. And it wouldn't take much. The end result, we have the Page of Wands. Now, the Page of Wands, I think, is a fantastic card because this is an information. This is sort of like saying, look, the past is the past, and now we're going to go on forward with action. This is people saying we need to motivate and get people behind action. This is no longer a time for words. And I truly believe, because when I look at the 10 cards I have in front of me, I have the Strength card. And that knocks out and is overriding all of these other cards. So, yes, there's going to be more coming out to this situation. But I truly believe that this card, because it's the only major that showed up, this is saying, guys, we have to unify. We have to unify together as a people and stop this. This is 2020. I truly believe in the power of the people, the power of manifestation, and the power of prayer. And we all need to get on the same page and stop judging. Let's get together and say, no, we all deserve the right to have a decent life without judgment. You shouldn't have to worry about driving while black or just shopping while black. It should be a fair world towards all of us. And I truly believe that all this pain and anguish is going to result in the unity of the majority, and we will win. So guys, I'm sorry. This is a really heavy, hard reading, but I am going to, as always, wish you light for your darkness, our candle for each and every one of us. I wish you so much health, and let's really do our best to be kind. Take care, guys.